All right, go
Okay.
ahead and take it away.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. This is Ken Anderson. I'm broadcasting here from New Terminal A at Newark Airport. Presentation today is to talk a little bit about an experience we're trying to build here at Newark Airport Terminal A as it relates to sort of the maintenance organization and some of the other stakeholders that are going to be benefiting by some of the technologies we're rolling out. So let me talk a little bit about Terminal A. For those who have flown through Newark Airport in the past and have flown through old Terminal A and have not had the opportunity yet to fly through new Terminal A, it is an overwhelming experience that is much different than what anybody had been used to in old Terminal A. It is worlds apart. Port Authority, and I'll explain a little bit of the dynamics of the Port Authority in Newark, New Jersey and Munich Airport and who I work for and what Munich Airport is. But the Port Authority has invested a lot in the New York City area around airports. A lot of work going on at JFK, a lot of work going on at LaGuardia, and a lot of work going on at Newark Airport, of which Terminal A is sort of the first step that's being taken to re-image Terminal A. Newark Airport. So Terminal A, there are 3 terminals currently at Newark Airport, Terminal A, B, and C. Terminal A has been reimagined, and then in the future, Port Authority would have plans to sort of do many, many other activities at Newark Airport to continue to build out a robust customer experience for people coming through the New York area, albeit coming through New Jersey. So one thing I wanted to mention just as a disclaimer, we are still in the process of opening up new components of the airport. A couple of them are new concessions. So there is some fire alarm testing that is occurring over the past few days. It is entirely possible that during this presentation, a fire alarm may go off. If it does, I will mute the presentation so you're not hearing all the announcements going on in the background. And then as soon as those announcements stop, I will unmute and continue the presentation. So a little bit about Munich Airport and who they are and why we're here at Terminal A. So Munich Airport, as everybody may know, is one of the only 5-star airports that exist in Europe. They have a subsidiary of Munich Airport called Munich Airport International. And Munich Airport International's business model is to participate in many, many different ways at airports throughout the world. Some of them are to help out with sort of concession management. Some are to help out with building a new terminal and getting it operational. And here at Newark, Munich Airport, which is Munich Airport, New Jersey, which is a subsidiary of Munich Airport International. Our charter is that we have a contract with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey to be the terminal operator at Terminal A. So what is the terminal operator? Terminal operator is the division that is responsible for all airport operation or terminal operations, all maintenance, and all concession and retail management. So Terminal A opened in January of 2023, so we've only been open for about 11 months now. It was a partial opening of which 4 airlines moved over from the old Terminal A into the new Terminal A. Those airlines were United, Air Canada, JetBlue, and American, and I think we operationalized 25 of the 33 gates that are in existence at New Terminal A. In August of 2023, we went through and we brought in the 5th airline, which is Delta, into Terminal A, and we expanded the use of 33 gates. The construction of the terminal has been going on for some time. It's one of the largest design build projects in the state of New Jersey. and the cost of that was about a $2.7 billion construction fee. The forecast is about 20 million passengers every year are expected to come through this terminal. Okay. So, starting point 2021. All right. So, we're brand new. We have no history. We have no workforce. We have basically a white piece of paper that's constructed in a concept of operations. So we sort of had ideas what we wanted to do, but we didn't really know what you want to do sometimes until you start, practicing it and realizing that, what you want to do isn't always what you want to do. So we sat down and we started talking about, well, where do we want to go from here? And we knew that we had to get to a point. One of our main drivers is that we wanted to make sure that whatever we did was efficient and it added to the customer experience to make sure that we can maintain a terminal. I work in the maintenance organization, by the way, and we can maintain the terminal and ensure that all of the assets in this terminal are maintained in the best way possible, which translates to hopefully a better customer experience. So we had ultimate commitment from our management team that we wanted to make sure that we had operational efficiency. Okay, so one of the concepts that we had in sort of the way we were going to handle things is the concept of a facilities maintenance desk. When we first sort of started talking about this, the concept was that anything that was needed from the facilities maintenance organization would be routed through the facility maintenance desk, mostly in the form of either a radio call, if it was one of our internal stakeholders like our operations team, hey, this is broke, you need to go out and fix it, or a phone call coming in from any of our other stakeholders or anybody else saying, hey, something's broke, we need you to fix it. So that was the original plan. We didn't have this concept of sort of self-service when we first envisioned how we wanted to work. And that sort of morphed and matured out of our journey as we started to get things going. Couple things just to mention. Maximo is our sort of core backbone that we're using to drive work management, asset management. But then we have some of the other tools that are in place, both on the front end and the back end, of which we're going to be talking about here today, EZMaxRequest and EZMaxMobile. So we wanted the ability to have the facility maintenance desk be what I call the quarterback of the maintenance organization. They are responsible for understanding, prioritizing, triaging, communicating, and coordinating any of the facility maintenance activities that are happening in the terminal. Okay. Now, one of the things that, as we built this sort of concept out, one of the things is that we do not have an internal workforce for maintenance. All our maintenance contracts or contractors are contracted workforce. So we needed to make sure that we had a way from the back end to easily allow our contractors to be able to do their jobs. And one of the primary things that we wanted to make sure, and one of the reasons we did select the EZMax suite, is we wanted to make sure they were working as efficiently from the EZMaxMobile perspective as possible. We wanted to make sure that point of presence is really important to us, so that when work is being done, we capture some things right at that moment. A lot of our SLAs are based on response times. So we needed to make sure that we got work orders out to our workforce very quickly and make sure that the mechanisms that they were using, which primarily we use iPads for our maintenance workforce. So they are notified of work orders as they are communicated to them. They can enact on those immediately. We capture photos, we capture documents, we capture inspection form results, we capture labor time. So it was really important for us to make sure that the technicians have an easy to use tool that captures everything, again, real time as much as possible, so that we can ensure that as we look for things like response times or times to resolution, they're accurate. On the sort of EZMaxRequest side, we wanted to make sure that any of the people that are using EZMaxRequest to drive what I call work demand, it was a tool that was allowed them the ability to easily put their work requests in, not spend more than 10, 15, 20 seconds at most to notify the FM department, hey, we got a problem, we need you to go out and work at it. One of the things just to note is anything that's an emergency, and you can see that sort of in the yellow banner on the top of the EZMaxRequest screen to the left. We don't ever want emergencies to fall through the cracks. So anything that's construed as an emergency gets called into the FM desk. We do not encourage our people to put emergency requests through EZMaxRequest, only because we want to make sure we have immediate ability. In those cases that things get called into the FM desk is actually working in EZMaxRequest, and it's an easy tool for them to use to take that request that came in by phone and get it entered into EZMaxRequest, which will drive a work order on the back end, which goes out to the EZMaxMobile community. Okay. All right. So one of the things that we were sort of trying to figure out as we went through this journey is how do we continue to improve and make it easier for people? We started out with a couple of different forms, general maintenance and baggage handling. But what we decided to do is on some of the forms, specifically a form that got introduced later in the process, janitorial requests and baggage handling, we decided to make them not only self-service, but we decided to sort of bypass the FM department or the FM desk to make sure that those requests get out to the responsible party faster. So what does that mean here? So we have a janitorial request contracting workforce that has control of all their own custodial staff. And we felt there was not a lot of value add for us to have calls come into the FM desk only to have them create a ticket that went back out to the janitorial contracting service. So what we decided to in that case is create a new form and sort of automate that form to a degree, so that as soon as the form was entered in or the data was entered into the form and the requester submitted the form, it automatically goes directly to our janitorial team. And then the dispatchers at the janitorial team can immediately dispatch out things like, you know, we have spill, or we have carpet cleaning that needs to get done, or we have trash pickup that needs to get done. So it streamlined the process immensely, and it improved our response time for janitorial requests almost immediately, and better feedback that things that are happening faster. The other thing that we did from a baggage handling team perspective is we have a dedicated baggage handling team, and we felt it was better that they're sort of self-contained. So they have their own internal, I would call them like an operations department for baggage handling, and anything that's discovered through the baggage handling system that is, you know, requiring maintenance work, they can immediately put a ticket in. It bypasses the FM desk and it goes directly to the contractor that's responsible for our baggage handling equipment. And again, that allows us immediate response time to make sure that we're getting the work orders to the right people in the most efficient way. So as I mentioned, the whole purpose of everything we're doing is to try and make sure we improve time to action, okay? So we have on the service request side, which is what I call work demand, we're about 2,000 requests per month that's coming in for a lot of the maintenance work and the janitorial work that needs to happen. So again, it allows us faster response time. What it also does, it allows the FM desk, which is really the responsible, initial responsible organization, to make sure that we are getting all the real maintenance work, the break fix stuff that's out there. They're focusing their time now, because we're streamlining some of these other forms, that it makes them more efficient, that they can respond much quicker to when a passenger boarding bridge is not operating correctly, or an escalator went down, or any of the other major public facing things that are happening in the terminal. We can get them to respond and triage them much quicker than worrying about, oh, I just got a ticket coming in that a garbage is overflowing, which is not as important as, oh, the passengers can't get on the passenger boarding bridge to get on the plane. That we have to make sure we react to very quickly. So EZMaxRequest, just to sort of back up a little bit, when we were going through the process of selecting EZMaxMobile as our sort of mobile workforce solution, we really weren't thinking too much about the front end, the work demand. And what we decided to do as we were going through that process is, there's a ton of value here to sort of allow more of a self-service type of thing. And we adopted the EZMax product because it made sense for us to, since we already had selected EZMaxMobile, to kind of just sort of bolt on the front end and stay with the same vendor for both economies of scale and cost considerations. And what we found is that the main premise, what we've tried to do here, no matter what, is simplicity. The easier it is to use, the better adoption you're going to get. And through EZMaxRequest and some of the forms that we created, it's a very easy process. It's for a general maintenance request. I think it's 4 screens you'll go through. First one is you'll enter in what location, and we've generalized a lot of locations, but what location this particular problem is at. They'll enter in a classification. We do data mining is very, very important to us for analytical reasons. So we try and capture as much as we can from a categorization standpoint, so we can sort of look at it from the back end later. Are we getting maintenance requests coming in for restrooms, or what is the restroom problem? Is it a stall? Is it a urinal? Is it a sink? So we do try and make sure we capture a lot of it on the front end. And then the user will enter in a brief description and a detailed description of the problem. And then the really nice thing is that we get a lot of people putting in is the ability to attach photos. A photo, a picture paints 1,000 words, a picture does paint 1,000 words. So it makes the process, when that request gets eventually translated into a work order and those photos carry through, it's much easier for the technician that's going out to look at the job. They can see the photo and say, okay, I see exactly where it is. I see what's going on. I know what I got to do before I even get to the site. So it makes it a lot easier to do that. And we get notifications back. So the requester is aware of what's going on with their request. They know that when they put it in, it's in a status of in progress. When statuses in Maximo change, it does update the statuses on the service request of which EZMaxRequest is using. So the user can see sort of the life cycle of their request through the Maximo work order journey, and then they're notified when their ticket has been resolved. So QR codes. This wasn't a concept that we did plan to roll out QR codes, but not necessarily on the work demand side. So what we're doing, we started this initiative where we are loading, deploying QR codes on various types of equipment out in the terminal that are public facing, with the intent that when somebody is entering in a work request, they will be able to just scan that QR code and the location will automatically pop in, and it'll make it a little bit easier for them. QR codes is also going to be used heavily on the back end for the work management side, so that when we have our technicians reporting out for a PM or even a corrective maintenance work order, they will be able to scan the QR code, which will tell them, hey, you're on the right piece of equipment, or here's all the work orders that go for this piece of equipment, find the right one. The other thing that it's going to do for us is we're adopting inspection forms, and we really want to make sure that we roll out inspection forms, and we use a lot of route concepts here, and this will help them drive through and find the right inspection forms for that route for that particular work order. So right now, mostly the people that are using the EZMaxRequest tool are the internal terminal agents and Munich Airport employees. We are in the process of planning a rollout to airlines, concessions, Port Authority, and even TSA. So they all have demands that they need to get fulfilled in a terminal. And we plan on using EZMaxRequest to drive a lot of that work demand coming in, and then drive it to the right group. Not everything might come to facility maintenance, but we want to make sure that we drive it to the right group. And the more we get the self-service module out into the terminal, it makes it a little more streamlined and efficient for people to be able to say, hey, I got a problem. I need you guys to come out and clean this garbage. I need you to do this, or I need you to do that. And we don't want to remove the person and the person experience out of it, but at the same time, we found that a lot of people would rather just go through a quick wizard and knock it out and move on to whatever they're doing in their life here at the terminal, than have to call on a phone and talk to somebody, and sometimes that takes a little bit more time. So this gives them the opportunity to knock out a request in, like I said, literally 10, 15, 20 seconds, and then they can move on to something else. So some of the things, and I'm trying to be conscious of time, so make sure if I'm getting close on the time clock, somebody please, stop me and I'll talk faster or whatever. But one of the things that is really, really important to us, and I mentioned this earlier, is data quality. Data quality is the driver of everything later on. So the better data quality you have on the front end, the better you're going to have on the back end. So we spend a lot of time looking at analytics, and we are trying to make sure that we're getting better data quality on the front end through the two tools that I've been referencing. And therefore, it makes it a lot better, so that when we're trying to look at pain points or areas of concern, it gives us better ability to look at the data and understand what's going on. One of the things I'll also mention, in addition to Maximo and the two Interpro products, is we did decide to use a product called eDocumentus. eDocumentus is a document management system that integrates pretty nicely into Maximo. We originally had planned to use SharePoint, but SharePoint has its advantages and has its disadvantages. What we liked about eDocumentus is it's easily configurable, so that we were able to get it to work nicely with products like EZMaxMobile, so that when users in EZMaxMobile are uploading documents, they can upload it right directly into the document management system, instead of loading it into the native, say, Maximo document libraries. And the reason why that's important is eDocumentus is a full-blown document management system. So it gives us a lot of document management functionality that we were able to leverage, as opposed to just using SharePoint or native Maximo. So since January, we're up to about 200 mobile users. And again, mobile here is both our contractor workforce that are the people actually doing the reg turning, but also the requesters. We have 3 intake forms we're using with the possibility we might roll more out. One of the ones that we're toying around with right now is sort of maybe office moves type of thing. So we're trying to figure out, is there a use case for if somebody, one of the airlines say, hey, we need to do, move this from here to there. That might be some value to look at that and try and figure that out. So if we could do it over, and this is always the lessons learned, and you wish you knew some of the stuff at the beginning, but the big challenge we had here is that we did not have our contracting workforce in place when we started the journey of developing our Maximo and EZMaxMobile, EZMaxRequest suite. So it was more concepts that we built on, and we're learning after we've gone live, we're learning that, sometimes what you thought is not what you think, or it's not what happened. So one of the things that would have been nice for us, but it just wasn't feasible or even possible, is it's always get your end users involved in the design process. That's sort of, 101 rule here, because they're the ones using the system. When you're sitting there on the front end and you're doing things in a little bit of a vacuum, sometimes you miss the fact that as much as you think and you're trying to, envision how your end users are going to be using the system, get them involved in the process. Offline, we made a decision because we felt that there would be, really good Wi-Fi coverage here in the terminal, and there is, but there are pockets where Wi-Fi just doesn't exist very well. For example, in some of our baggage handling system that runs through roofs and ceilings and behind the walls, we just don't have it there. So we probably should have thought a little bit more about offline, online mode. We are contemplating that right now, so that if you run into a problem where you lose connectivity, at least you're not dead in the water from sort of a mobile solution standpoint. So we are entertaining the concept right now. Do we switch back and look at being able to run EZMaxMobile in offline mode? And then the other thing that's the lesson learned is develop your processes first, and then develop your tools around the process. Don't do it the other way. Sometimes it's easier to say, oh, we have a tool, let's make the process fit the tool. Don't do that. It always works better when you develop your process first and you solidify your process, and then you say, okay, how can this tool complement the process? It doesn't mean you may not need to tweak your process a little bit, but don't drive it the other way. You'll find that you thought that your process was going to be right, and then you developed the tool, and then, sometimes that works, but when you do it the other way and you say, I have the tool, now let me develop my process around the tool, lots of times that does not work. Just a quick thanks to the folks that have gotten us here. This is definitely a partnership that everybody participated in. Interpro, obviously, for the EZMax suite, P2 Insight for eDocumentus, and EDI, who was our Maximo implementer, as well as everybody in the terminal itself here, all the Munich Airport employees and Port Authority, and everybody else that was a stakeholder that's gotten us to this journey where we're at right now. Its journey's not over. There's still a lot to be done, but I think where we are right now is we are on the road to success here at Newark Terminal A. And again, anybody that ever flies through Newark Terminal A, just remember as you're boarding a gate, just remember that what's running this terminal is Maximo and EZMax products. And I think you'll have a successful journey through the terminal. With that said, thank you for attending. And I don't know if there's any questions.
There was one question, Ken, about offline that you answered as you went through, just that you chose at the beginning not to implement offline mode because of your high level of connectivity, but you are reevaluating that. There was a couple other questions, but I know that we're at time. So I think we
Okay.
can wrap up there and move on to the next session.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.